Ladies and gentlemen, our program will resume momentarily. Please direct your attention to the stage. Again, our program will resume momentarily. Please direct your attention to the stage. Thank you.
Please welcome back to the stage, Jenny Hopkins.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your dinner. Please keep eating your dessert. The dessert did look very good, I thought. You'll also be happy to know I sat with Monique Anderson at our table, and she explained the 44. At least one explanation for the 44 is we get stock certificates, stocks, and we sell them for random numbers, and random numbers end up to be 44. So it's a juicy rationalization, but it'll work for tonight, I think, right? So at this time, I have the honor of recognizing members of the Medallion Societies who achieved these levels thanks to new gift support during 2021. The list of bronze, copper, silver, and gold medallion donors can be found both in your program, and they have been scrolling through on the screens. These benefactors provided designated support to every corner of campus, whether it be for scholarships, building projects, faculty, or program support. So please join me in thanking this group of Medallion Society contributors. The Old Main Society and the Founders Societies both recognize benefactors with current lifetime gifts from $250,000 to under $1 million. During the In Our Hands campaign, a number of new facility projects were launched, including the Aldeveron Tower, the Nodak Insurance Company Football Performance Complex. That is a mouthful, I have to say. And the Peltier Complex. Many of the Old Main and Founders Society donors made gifts to support these landmark campus projects. So please join me in showing gratitude for these new members of the Old Main and the Founders Societies. The Heritage Society includes benefactors who have made will planning or estate commitments to NDSU and have shared these plans with NDSU, of course. Such gifts may include bequests in a will or trust, IRA beneficiary, gift annuities, property, or charitable trusts. The Heritage Society members aspire to raise the university's impact and stature through their philanthropic support that they did during the In Our Hands campaign. 26% of the total in Our Hands did come from these documented will planning gifts. So again, the names have been scrolling behind you and they're in your document. Thank you to the new Heritage Society members. So lastly are the 1862 philanthropists that have given to the 1862 Society. It acknowledges the year the U.S. Congress passed the Morrill Act creating the land-grant university. The 1862 Society honors benefactors who have provided gifts totaling $1 million or more. Legacy levels of cumulative support are recognized at the $1 million, $2.5 million, $5 million, and $10 million levels. Honorees include those who have made current gifts or in their will planning. It's actually a good data point to know also that it wasn't that many years ago that we were honoring 1 or 2 members of the 1862 Society when we got together annually. This year we're recognizing 16, so truly, truly remarkable. So although not everyone is in attendance this evening, so please stand as your name is called and remain standing so we can just express our gratitude. Please hold your applause until we get to the end, though. We're going to recognize the $1 million and the $2.5 million together, and then we'll do the 5 and the 10 next. So starting at the $1 million level, I'd like to recognize Courtney Borman. Should see some names up there. Joe and Birch Burdick. And will you stand, please? I forgot to ask you to stand. Whoever's here, the Bormans or the Burdicks, we'd love to have you stand so we can recognize you. David and Barbara Cook. Dennis and Vaughn Johnson. North Dakota Corn Utilization Council. Mary Kay Oline Berkey. Larry A. Schultz. Joel M. Thorsrud, the Edson and Margaret Larson Trust, and Timothy Welsh and Donna Lacroix Welsh. So $1 million gifts, please take it. At the $2 million, and I know Jim and Naomi are here, so we are going to get you guys to stand this time, is Jim and Naomi Hambrick, and Marty Marcello and Barb Handy Marcello. Will you guys stand so we can thank you? At the next two levels, the benefactors are so generous, we do want to make sure that they just feel our appreciation. So I would love for you to join me in thanking each one of them individually as we go through their names. If you'd stand and so we can recognize you, you can all stand until we get to the end would be great. But for sure, please stand so we can thank you. So first is Jim and Sherry Boos. Also at the $5 million level is Gate City Bank. And I understand there's a whole table, so we need you all to stand up. There we go. Neil and Arnie Goodmestead. Goodmestead, this time. There we go. And lastly, at this level, Joe and Norma Peltier. Thank you all. At the $10 million level, we have three groups we want to recognize. First is Dr. Dean Elbrishani and Christy Hansen. I just have a feeling there might be a lot of tears tonight. But, not to be outdone, Thomas and Don Blattner, are you guys here tonight? Please stand. Thank you. And our third honoree at the $10 million level is the Nodak Insurance Company, represented by Jim Alexander. Jim, every gift from every donor and every dollar during this campaign counted. And I have to get back to my numbers one more time and give you a couple last statistics, so humor me one more time. Anybody want to take a guess at how many total donors there were that contributed to this campaign? I'll give you a hint. It's 2 times the population of Devil's Lake. Oh. Does that help anybody? 15,000. 15,000 donors contributed to this campaign. It is pretty incredible. So if you're halfway as good at math, and I told you half of Devil's Lake were new donors, would you get to 4,260 were first-time donors? So again, really remarkable number of first-time donors, that this was their first gift to NDSU. If you didn't already know, this campaign did benefit every corner of campus. Gifts were designated to 1,515 different funds. And that resulted in 99% of the funds being secured, were designated according to the donor intent. So where my passion is engineering and engineering scholarships, someone else's passion was sports in the football complex, and over here, 99% of us who contributed did so directly to a cause that was meaningful to our heart, which I think is pretty cool. So one last time, I would like to thank you for your passion, your service, and your philanthropy to North Dakota State University. And it is now my pleasure to welcome NDSU Foundation President and CEO John Glover and NDSU President Dr. Dean Vershani to the stage.
We do have work to do tonight, so we'll get right to it. Thanks again, Jenny, for your leadership of the Executive Governing Board of the NDSU Foundation Trustees and for emceeing tonight. And again, thank you to all of our benefactors that are here. It's an awesome room. You have no idea how awesome it is. And now we get to recognize the 2022 class of award recipients given out by the NDSU Foundation. NDSU alumni and friends are making a difference locally and globally in pursuit of what they are most passionate about. And in a few moments, we'll hear their stories. So tonight, we will begin with the Horizon Award, which recognizes alumni who have graduated within the past 15 years and have attained great success in their profession or have been engaged in outstanding community service. The 2022 Horizon Award is presented to Clara Presser Osowski. Don't come up yet, Clara. Hang on, just hang on. So originally from Turtle Lake, North Dakota, Clara is a classical musician. She earned a Bachelor of Music in Vocal Performance from NDSU and a Master of the Arts in Voice Performance from the University of Iowa. Clara's musical influences started early. Her mom, a saxophonist and K-12 music teacher, drove Clara 100 miles twice a month for voice and saxophone lessons. Today, Clara is an international performer. While at NDSU, she met Prakash Matthew, and I am pretty sure that all of you have seen Prakash tonight. He spent more time working the room than he did eating or drinking, so which is what we love about Prakash, formerly our Vice President of Student Affairs. According to Clara, Prakash informed the way she approaches her career. She said, quote, "Prakash was so incredibly service-minded. Performing arts are often self-oriented, spending hours by yourself honing your craft. And it was his focus on service of others that really put a different priority on how I wanted to learn and communicate with others." Clara's global experiences and service-minded approach to music led her to co-found the Source Song Festival in 2013. Based in the Twin Cities, the Art Song Festival provides educational masterclasses for composers, vocalists, and pianists while offering concerts and recitals for local audiences to enjoy. Please welcome to the stage Clara Presser Osowski, the 2022 Horizon Award recipient.
I am extremely humbled and honored to accept this award, and still a bit in disbelief. I'm on a stage and no one is requiring me to sing. There's YouTube. You can all look it up. It's not lost on me that I'm being honored for success after an entire 2 years of extremely few opportunities to do my job and a severely reduced income. The past 2 years, people did turn to art as a way to maintain their mental and physical health, to stay safe, and yet even the most successful artists were considered non-essential, and in my case as a singer, very dangerous. Therefore, I am all the more grateful to the NDSU Foundation to recognize success as commitments of service, authenticity, and the creation of beauty. I'm grateful for my parents and my fellow alum brother Lance, who got me to NDSU, and who took great pride and care in raising me. They introduced me to hardworking farmers and fishermen, not famous composers and performers. Although I'm pretty sure my brother introduced me to Mike Chambers once too, because he worked at Aldeveron. So that's something. I didn't know about Juilliard, but I had competed at Little I. My first, right? Yep. My first opera house was actually Festival Concert Hall, not the Metropolitan Opera or La Scala in Milano. All my dresses and gowns are nice, but so is my corduroy FFA jacket, my blue key blazer, and my concert choir dress. Yeah. What I am admitting is that nothing was predetermined, and my pedigree comes from an elementary school teacher who was extremely passionate to teach children about the joy music held for ourselves and others, and an intrepid and incredibly strong dad who helped me identify noxious weeds and showed me how to pull a calf in a blizzard. That's how I learned that authenticity matters. The music department at NDSU was truly my perfect fit. They learned quickly to just say yes in so many words to everything I asked of them. And in return, they provided opportunities and care that said yes to me. If you need any more convincing of the greatness in the music department at NDSU, they proved their brilliance when they hired Dr. Tyler Watrick, my dear collaborator and friend. We've created a lot of beauty overseas and here, and I'm forever grateful. And to my colleagues, my friends, my former professors, advisors, classmates, you gave me a lot of strength over the last 2 years, acknowledging that service to others can be on a stage or in a matters of a pandemic, in a well-ventilated coffee shop, on a walk, or a Zoom call across time zones. It is the encouragement and environment I had with my family and my chosen Bison family for which I am most grateful. They help me become my best self when I am free to serve, to cultivate empathy, to tell stories, and to usually be one of the loudest ones in the room. So tonight and onward, please thank an artist, hug a musician, and always feel welcome to sing along. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Clara. Greg Lardy, I want to see Clara perform on the Little I stage in Shepherd Arena. The Henry L. Bolley Academic Achievement Award honors individuals who have attained noted achievements in the area of education as teachers, researchers, and/or administrators. The 2022 Henry L. Bolley Academic Achievement Awardee is Kenton Kaufman. Kenton is the W. Hall Wendell Jr. Musculoskeletal Research Professor, Professor of Biomedical Engineering, Professor of Orthopedics, Director of the Motion Analysis Laboratory, and a consultant in the departments of orthopedic surgery, physiology, and biomedical engineering at Mayo Clinic. He is also a former NDSU faculty member. Remarkably, all of what I just said fits on his business card. It was during his time as an NDSU faculty member that Kenton was inspired to continue his education by earning a PhD in biomechanical engineering. As a self-proclaimed farm boy, Kenton was first planning to design tractors, but found he preferred working with people. He works with a team of fellow engineers, physiologists, and doctors to help diagnose patients with musculoskeletal conditions, treat people with limb loss or mobility impairments, optimize athletic performance, and conduct research and develop new technologies to help individuals achieve a better quality of life. Using his engineering education and skill, Kenton has, among many accomplishments, designed the combat boots used by the U.S. Marine Corps and developed the first microprocessor-controlled orthotic knee. Kenton is considered in the top 3% of engineering professionals throughout the world, working for solutions that benefit humankind. Kenton has received numerous professional awards, but he says nothing matches, quote, the privilege of serving those who serve us. Please welcome to the stage the 2022 Henry L. Bolley Academic Achievement Award recipient, Dr. Kenton Kaufman.
Thank you. This award is particularly meaningful to me. Please let me explain. Henry Luke Bolley was one of the first 3 faculty members hired by the North Dakota Agricultural College in 1890 when the college began. At that time, pioneers were moving onto the prairie of North Dakota, breaking up the sod and growing crops. One of the crops that they grew was flax, and it developed a problem with wilt. Professor Bolley was trained in botany, and so he went to work to develop a new variety of flax that would be wilt resistant. That variety of flax he called bison flax, and that enabled the producers of North Dakota to become the #1 producer of flax in the country. Bison flax is still grown today, and North Dakota remains the #1 producer of flax in the country over a century later. This is the quintessential example of a land-grant university. The people of North Dakota face an adverse situation, is brought to the faculty of North Dakota State, and the problem is solved. And the solution is not only a solution, but it helps the people of North Dakota thrive. Webster's Dictionary defines achievement as an act or something that's done with skill, effort, and persistence. I agree with that definition, but I also find it inadequate. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for the support of family, friends, coworkers, professional colleagues, and mentors. Some of those individuals are here this evening. I won't have time to thank everybody, but I'd like to thank 2 people who won't be here this evening, my deceased parents, Richard and Leona Kaufman. As a child, I had a lot of questions, like most children, and my dad's response was always the same: look it up. Well, if you're in my age bracket, there's no Google and there's no internet. So what does look it up mean? Well, what he meant was look it up in the dictionary, this dictionary. And he also said, look it up in the encyclopedia. Well, I elected not to bring the encyclopedia tonight. But my dad taught me the importance of being inquisitive and to seek truth. As a child, like most children, I'd complain when I didn't have the latest toy. And my mother always had the same response. Well, you have Tinker Toys, build it yourself. And so I did, and that taught me creativity. And as you might have guessed, I grew up on a farm. I was the only child, so I got the privilege of doing all the chores. Now, some evenings after finishing the chores, I would come in and complain. And my parents' response was always the same. Kenton? Now, you notice that the use of my full first name and the tone of voice. Perhaps some of the parents here this evening have used that tone of voice with your own children. Kenton? There are a lot of things in life that you don't want to do, but you have to do them anyway. Well, I have to admit, I was a slow learner. So I had to be taught that lesson more than once. But that lesson taught me about discipline, perseverance, and the need to get a job done, even if you didn't want to do it. So my parents instilled in me the characteristics of being inquisitive, being creative, and another characteristic called grit. Now, that is the term that psychologist Angela Duckworth has used to describe the ability to get something done even if you don't want to. I would like to also close my remarks by making one other observation. Professor Bolley came to Fargo from Purdue. When he was there, he was the captain of the football team. When he came to NDSU, there was no football team, so he started one. He's credited with being the first coach of the NDSU football team. At that time, they were called Bolley's Farmers, a title that they retained until 1922. He also created the rivalry with UND. In 1895, they beat UND twice in the same year. I can think of no finer example of achievement than the NDSU football team. 9 championships in 11 years. So let's review. Professor Bolley created Bison Flax and Bison football. Two entities that were created over a century ago and are still thriving today. And that's why this award is so special to me, because of the symbolism of the award. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Kenton, right? Is that how Mom and Dad would say it? The Heritage Award recognizes alumni who have provided outstanding volunteer service for the benefit of NDSU. The 2022 Heritage Awardee is Neal Fisher. Throughout his career, Neal has traveled extensively as an international market development specialist and trade policy expert for more than 4 decades. In that time, he has maintained active roles with NDSU, state and national policymakers, and the dedicated producers of North Dakota's farming and ranching communities. Since 1998, Neal has been administrator of the North Dakota Wheat Commission, which has invested in a variety of research and capital-related projects at NDSU, including the NDSU Center for Trading and Risk, the Jack Dalrymple Agricultural Research Complex, and the soon-to-be Peltier Complex. Neal's love of agriculture and NDSU began at an early age. He grew up on a fourth-generation grain and cattle ranch near Tappan, North Dakota. His father, John, went to NDSU and remained involved with the university and the Crop Improvement Association after graduation. Neal earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in agricultural economics from NDSU and formed lifelong friendships along the way. And Neal has been an NDSU Foundation trustee since 2010 and is currently vice chair of the executive governing board. While Neal carved his own career after graduating from NDSU, he's always stayed involved in farming and ranching. He says it keeps him honest in that he continues to recognize the dedication and hard work of producers that represent the commission. Please help me welcome to the stage the 2022 Heritage Award recipient, Neal Fisher.
Thank you. What a great event. Tonight we're celebrating our generous donors, some noteworthy achievements, while appreciating the tremendous success of the recently completed In Our Hands campaign. Thank you to President Bashani and John and his very capable team and all of you for making that possible. We saw some great examples up here this evening. On a much more personal note, I must tell you that I am greatly honored to follow fellow alums on this stage this evening to receive the prestigious Heritage Award from an institution for which I have so much respect. This is an awesome honor for me and for my family, and I think for the folks that I work for at the North Dakota Wheat Commission. There's some very important people I do want to thank this evening for the encouragement, the countless opportunities, and ultimately making my career probably possible, but certainly much more rewarding. First and foremost, my family. We have a pretty good collection down here at this table. All of them had to adjust their lives around a very ambitious business travel schedule that I had taken on. I'm sure my wife, Debbie, in charge when I was gone, and our kids, especially when they were smaller, must have wondered what it would have been like to have a dad that was on a little more regular hours and probably had a little more time at home. So I can't tell any of you how much I really appreciated their self-control. They were always very flexible. They were determined to go forward. And most of all, I think they exhibited a lot of personal responsibility in my absence during their formative years. So we really appreciate that. Those family members, I will name them. I'm not going to ask them to stand, but Debbie's here, my wife, our son Josh, my daughter, Audra, other daughter, Adrian, and her husband, Mike Fiedler. We have Jay Fisher and his wife, Marlis, my brother, and my youngest brother, Hal, here as well. So we have a pretty good family delegation there. By the way, they're all NDSU graduates, and there's a few other degrees thrown in for good measure. But I want to thank you all for your encouragement and support. For the past 4 decades, I've been employed by the North Dakota Wheat Commission, something I found both challenging at first and very exciting and very rewarding as we go forward. So this award is probably more about them in some respects than me, so I'm going to brag on them just a little bit. There's a table over here that has a scattering of folks from the Wheat Commission, past and present board members, some national chairmen, and so on and so forth, staff and otherwise, and I think there might be a few others scattered around the room as well. So again, thank you to all of you. It made my career much more exciting and much more rewarding. Well, as we have worked at the North Dakota Wheat Commission for the last 4 decades, we've formed very productive and lasting partnerships, and I think that's something that's very, very important. We should also note that all of those folks we just talked about are very distinguished agriculturalists in North Dakota, the great staff that I get to work with as well, and they're very well respected at the state level, in any national or international platform where you send them to represent the growers of North Dakota, they're always very well respected and an inspiration to all who serve them. I mentioned earlier about some durable partnerships that we have formed. The very best and very longest standing one of those is probably right here at North Dakota State University, when the legislature formed the North Dakota Wheat Commission way back in 1959, and I promise I wasn't there then, but I do have some years on me. But the first thing they did was invest producer funds, the very first funds they collected here at NDSU, to boost the genetics in variety development of the wheat industry, and to do something that was a little bit maybe lacking yet at that time, was to talk about customer satisfaction and how those traits that they can introduce, in the old-fashioned way would allow customers to be happy with the product, and it would create repeat business. So much has been accomplished in these efforts with leveraged public and private partnering, and I think that's another very exciting part of this. They've always involved some private sector in the process, and many of these accomplishments came directly from cutting-edge research right here at NDSU, and most of them were solving a problem that someone saw, someone even maybe brought home from a foreign country that they were working, selling the product, where they could make that product more satisfying for the customer that was in charge of buying for those countries. So it was a problem discovered, problem solved, answers from NDSU. One of the real headline accomplishments, I think, is, and there's a little write-up on me in there, so again, I'll quit talking about that and talk about the reputation of North Dakota agriculture as the preferred source of high-quality, high-performance wheat and food products that come from all the enterprises of agriculture in North Dakota. I know I work for the wheat people, but I love the whole agricultural industry, and we've been very supportive of everybody in the industry as long as I can remember. We're at the pinnacle of performance in terms of the end product use and all that sort of thing in the world market. That's a very distinguishing set of earmarks, I think, that not only evokes a lot of pride from our producers and so on, but also in premium value, greater income opportunities, and along with a lot of benefit to every citizen, as I say, in every zip code in North Dakota and well beyond. So agriculture remains the backbone of the North Dakota economy. Ironically, even in 2021, and this is going to be another brag on NDSU, that even in 2021 we had such dire drought conditions in much of the state, much of the region. We didn't just suffer alone in North Dakota, but the West in particular. This is actually going to turn out to be one of the best years in recent history for the agricultural production of dollars going into the economy, both here and in the region. And I think that's something that's very remarkable, and again goes back to the research that is conducted here, creating genetics that, for example, this last year, even in a drought year, we achieved a 32 bushel average yield in North Dakota. Well, that's not very good. Well, maybe it's not. It's about half of what we're used to and about a third of what we're used to in some really good producing areas in the state. But it's also 6 bushels better than the state average yield was when I started in this business. And I know that wasn't yesterday. This was a few years to catch up on there. But nonetheless, that's huge progress, and I think it shows the one term that I can, or the one comment I can make that probably drives that home most is that over the last 10, 15 years that we've noticed that North Dakota agriculture in general is producing more consistently, it has more resilience, more diversification than ever before, and at higher values than ever before. I think that's remarkable, and that comes right back home to both public and private research, but a lot of that originates right here. That matters because, I'm gonna get a little serious now, I guess. Maybe I'm too serious anyway, but the world is becoming increasingly aware that food security equals national security. I think we're hearing that a lot more, and I think that really matters. And so as we look at the disruptions that are going on in certain parts of the other origins, let's say, of wheat in the world, it's become a very, very serious thing. I would also say that energy ranks right in there with it. You heard from an individual this morning that was talking about the oil industry in North Dakota. I'm right there with them. We do that as well in North Dakota, agriculture and oil. I think if we have that going for us, that's a good shot at national security right there coming from a place like North Dakota. So the next thing up on my list to do would be to continue to educate people that can do those jobs, education of future generations, workforce development. Again, new ideas and programs continue at full at NDSU, attracting additional investment in key educational and academic pursuits, thus ensuring that future generations will be trained in marketable skills not some of the fluffy stuff you see on TV sometimes, in agriculture, in pharmacy, in engineering, new technologies, economics, math, science, communication skills. NDSU is well poised in all of those areas and getting better, as everyone knows from these new additions that have come to the university. So there will continue to be opportunities in research, the key to solving most of the problems that we've just talked about. STEM-related fields, pharmacy, engineering, and all of those that we just talked about. Lots of opportunity, and you're setting yourselves up in a very good way. So I'd like to thank President Brashani for his leadership and the legacy that he and his teams have built here at NDSU. And remember, NDSU is a student-focused, land-grant research university with R1 status. Not many can say that. NDSU will continue to accomplish great things with that heritage and the vision of our leaders for the future. Thank you again for this awesome award. Go Bison.
Congratulations, Neal. The Service Award recognizes individuals who have played a vital role as volunteer fundraisers. The 2022 Service Awardee is Mike Krueger. Now, I must confess that my comments here might be a bit more roastful in nature than for other awardees tonight. I apologize in advance for this fact, but I hope you'll indulge me a bit, as Mike's service on the foundation board and as my boss at one point does bring a few more personal comments. Sorry, Susan. In his service as a volunteer fundraiser, Mike utilizes his storytelling skills and connections to encourage others to invest in NDSU. So for all of you in the audience who have suffered through one of Mike's talks, stories, letters, or golf games, we can blame or thank NDSU for honing his skills. While a student, Mike first became involved in, of all things, competitive speaking. He originally started at NDSU as an engineering major, but met Professor E. James Ubelodi, who introduced him to NDSU speech and debate, and as Mike puts it, quote, saved him from a fun-filled but disastrous freshman year. After graduation and eventual U.S. Air Force service, Mike spent 8 years at Cargill, then co-founded Agrimark, a grain marketing consulting company. Later, he founded the Money Farm, an agricultural marketing and risk management company, which he sold in 2016. Today, he still does consulting work, writes for industry publications, talks on the radio, and is invited to speak about agricultural commodity markets around the world. Through these roles, Mike has likely touched foot in every town and region in North Dakota, and he knows everybody, or he can connect the dots to know everybody. Give him a few minutes up here on stage, and he'll connect all of you together and then tell a story that will leave you crying in laughter. Mike's volunteer work with NDSU began in the mid-1990s when he served on the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences Advisory Board. It eventually led him to the Alumni Association, serving as president of the board of directors in 2011 and 12, and in 2013 he became an NDSU Foundation trustee, eventually serving as chair of the executive governing board for 2 years, which happened to align with the 2019 public launch of In Our Hands, the campaign for North Dakota State University. However, if you listen to Mike, he'll suggest to you that the campaign launch aligned with his leadership chair duties. But we're not putting Mike out to pasture just yet. He and his wife, Susan, will be co-chairs of the 41st Bison Bitters Bowl this fall. Please help me welcome to the stage the 2022 Service Award recipient, Mike Krueger.
Quite an introduction, huh? Thank you, John. So I had promised everybody that I was going to be really brief tonight, but God, I love a big crowd. I'm still going to be brief. I actually feel a little bit like a Lilliputian here, and if I'd have stayed in engineering instead of becoming an English major, I wouldn't have known what a Lilliputian was. But I mean that in regard to the other winners. A few have left still to talk tonight and what they've accomplished. A little bit on a different plane than I guess where I've been. Michael and John and the Aldebaran group, you know, their DNA carried half the world's COVID vaccine, I think, or something like that. That's pretty amazing. Clara, who, by the way, was one of the first Bison art singers. A lot of you are familiar with the Bison art singers. And she and the group of young ladies that sang with her at that time became known as Chapman's Angels, real little known fact. She asked me if I could sing. I said, no, I can't sing. I'm surprised she didn't sing. I mean, sing her speech, which was pretty awesome. But what she did remind me of was that when I was really young and I would do something stupid, and I know you can't use that word anymore, but my mother would get very, very, very angry and say, what the hell is wrong with you? Were you standing behind the door when God passed out the brains? I didn't know what that door was for. I was just... And Clara, I must have been behind the same door when they passed out the voices, because I can't sing. I was watching the Masters, watching Tiger struggle through it all, and I was reading Dr. Kaufman's resume. I'm thinking, holy God, Tiger needs him. So I picked up my cell phone and called Tiger, and he didn't answer. But I realized he couldn't answer because they don't allow cell phones on the Masters course. Dr. Kaufman and I talked tonight. He really does. I mean, that guy's resume is pretty amazing. Neal Fisher and I have known each other over 40 years. Up until we were both on the foundation together 10 years ago, we saw each other overseas in meetings than we did in Fargo. And I remember clearly one meeting we were at in Southeast Asia or someplace, and it was a 2-day big meeting. 7 of the speakers were NDSU grads. Pretty impressive. And at least one other is here that was at that meeting, Shannon Schlecht. Is a trustee now, and I first met him in Cairo. So NDSU carries a long ways and a lot of strength, not just in football, but in ag markets as well. And then Steve and Eileen Scheels, of course, in Scheels, I've known them through the foundation. I was playing golf in Arizona and put my credit card on the table to pay, and I know some people are thinking, why would I pay to play golf? But and it was a Scheels card. It was a Scheels card, and the lady behind the counter says, Scheels, gee, I've heard of them. I think they're going to build a store. I said, they're going to build a store, and that store is going to change your life. So we're every place, right? We're every place. I tried to buy the other speakers' minutes because we only get 2 to 4 minutes, but nobody would sell them, so I'm going to be really brief. I have a few family that I'd like to at least tell you right here. We have 3 children, Susan and I do. Jess, our oldest daughter, and Jason, their son William, our oldest grandchild. Stand up once, Will, because William got the hair gene. But I thought I got it too when I was your age. So Erin, our daughter, is an engineer in the cities, and Brian, also from Minneapolis. They have 2 daughters. Jess and Jason have a daughter also. Our son Todd, his wife Alyssa, who are in Fargo with 3 boys, and as you saw by the picture, out of my 7 grandkids, they all play hockey, so I have a lot to look forward to in the winter. I have a sister from Winnipeg and her husband who are here. We haven't seen them for 2 years because of COVID. My sister, Leslie, and her husband are here. My brother was going to be here, but his back is so terrible. He came yesterday and had to leave again. Did I forget any relatives, Susan, who are here or not? So, my nieces, Sarah and Amy. Thank you. All right, one story and then I'm out of here. So, over the last several years, when Susan and I are out or wherever, somebody always says to her, you should be a saint, or you have to be a saint to live with this guy. Huh? Anyway, in actuality, it's more than the last 5 or 10 years, right? It's like 30 or 40 years, and we've been married 52, so it probably started 53 years ago. So a couple months ago, I said, I'm going to make this right, so I called the Vatican. I dialed up the Vatican. Hello, good morning, this is the Vatican. How can I help you? And I knew it was the Vatican because I could smell the incense through the telephone. So I said, I'd like the Office of Sainthood Nominations. Be right with you. The person picked up the phone. I said, I would like to nominate somebody for sainthood. The person said, fine, what would her name be? I said, Susan Krueger, Fargo, North Dakota. She said, hold on a minute. She got back and she said, actually, she's been nominated 7,652 times. So I said, cool, I guess she's covered. I said, would you check another name for me, please? Michael Krueger, Fargo, North Dakota. She says, well, let me look. She said, I don't really see anything. So I said, can I self-nominate? She said, we're really busy here today, Mr. Krueger. So, look, I appreciate the award. On Jenny's behalf and John's behalf, give early, give often, go Bison.
Congratulations, Mike. The Alumni Achievement Award recognizes alumni who have attained outstanding professional accomplishments. Tonight, we are honoring 2 outstanding alumni with this award, Michael Chambers and John Ballantyne. In 1998, Michael, as founding CEO, and John, as Chief Scientific Officer, jumped on an opportunity to expand a little research project started in a small laboratory in Van Ness Hall on the NDSU campus. It led to the launch of Aldevron, which has now become a global leader in advancing biological sciences, headquartered right here in Fargo. More than 20 years later, Aldevron now produces high-quality plasmid DNA, mRNA, proteins, enzymes, antibodies, and other biologicals, and provides them to scientists, research labs, and biotechnology companies around the world. One of the latest examples, all of the DNA that goes into the creation of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine is made by Aldevron. Turns out that was kind of important over the last couple of years. Their success captured the attention of global science and technology innovator Danaher, and in June 2021, Danaher Corporation purchased Aldevron for nearly $9.6 billion. The company joined Danaher's Life Sciences division. Since founding Aldevron, Michael, John, and their families have been dedicated to advancing the frontiers of science with cutting-edge products that are revolutionizing human life around the globe. Through it all, their roots remain here in Fargo, believing in the power of the Northern Plains, its people, work ethic, and innovation. Ties to NDSU run deep with Michael and John, and many of the company's employees today are Bison graduates. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the 2022 Alumni Achievement Awardees, Michael Chambers and John Ballantyne.
Thank you very much, John, and the Foundation for this kind recognition. It's very humbling, and it really should be reflected upon the many people that you saw in those pictures that built Aldebaran and the other companies in our bioscience community right now. So really very appreciative for this and what the institution is, and I thank God every day for having been part and continue to be part of the NDSU community. A lot of people I'd like to thank. I could probably go table by table and thank all of you. President Brashani, thank you for your leadership and your dedication to the university, the mission, the faculty, and especially the students. It's just been incredible to watch that, and so well done, Captain. John, thank you for the work you do, and through the foundation. I know it takes a lot of energy. Congratulations to our fellow awardees tonight. It's an honor to share the stage with you. It's a bit intimidating, especially to follow Mike. That was incredible. So thanks for that too, John. You know. So a lot of people, my family is here today. My mom always taught us to aim high, still does. Very, very grateful for that, and you know, it's the greatest blessing to be your son. My brother Matt, as a co-founder of the company, one of the most creative people I know, and way back when, you know, we didn't have $1, he helped us design a logo and create a communication strategy around what we wanted to do, and has done much more than that. My uncle Ron is here, and he's co-founder of the company as well. Really came on to the university, but even long before that, was a great inspiration academically. Helped me in my first science fair project way back when, and that became important because I would meet my wife, future wife, Victoria, at the state science fair in Minot, North Dakota, April 21st, 1991. And my father-in-law, Steve, is here as well. Thank you for letting me spend time with your daughter way back then. I probably would have moved my family out of the state, you know, if I showed up at the front door, but I'm really, really grateful for that. My colleagues from Aldebaran and Agathos and Genovac, you're just amazing people, and it's the highest privilege ever to come and work with you every day. So the university has been so important to so many people, certainly to us. There's no Aldebaran without NDSU and without just the incredible experience that we had there and the dedicated professors. And if you come to our campus, and I hope you all will, maybe not at once, but we'd love to give tours and show people around. You'll see that a lot of our conference rooms are named after professors and people that were particularly influential at our journey through NDSU, and they continue to be. Some that come to mind: the Fisher Conference Room, named after Alan Fisher, longtime dean of the university. Many of you know. I actually met him also at Science Fair. I remember the exact moment. It was in Jamestown at a science fair. As you can tell, we did a lot of Science Fair growing up. And I was with Victoria, and Dr. Fisher came and told us about the governor's school. wonderful program at NDSU that is for science and math students from around the state. And so we came there, and that was my first introduction to laboratory research. And I was telling Dean Whalen a little bit ago that I still remember, I don't remember any phone numbers, but I remember the phone number for the dean's office was 231-7411. And I just, so everybody can call her tomorrow and say hi. Another conference room, Beverly Baldwin, terrific professor of microbiology, taught us laboratory skills. This is a long story, so I won't go into it, but she actually docked me a grade on my transcript because I had gone back on my first instinct. And she said, Michael, I want you to remember the importance of self-confidence. And so now whenever you look at your transcript and you see this grade, you'll remember why. And she would not budge on that, and I tried to get it. So to this day, so maybe, I don't know, President, could you go back and change my microbiology grade? Kenton Rogers, excellent chemistry professor, taught us to avoid recipes for mediocrity. And finally, and this is a particular honor, Glass, named after Dr. Glass, who taught bacterial physiology, the most important course I took at NDSU, the hardest course I took at NDSU, and I loved it. It was rigorous. I had to skip every other class to study for his final in the last week. And Dr. Glass is here today, and I just want everyone to know how important that class was. So thank you, Dr. Glass, for doing that. He's agreed to come up and give a guest lecture after we talk on the electron transport chain in anaerobic bacteria. So, we have many colleagues here today, a lot of people from around our world in biotech and just luminaries in our field, and it's just so incredible to get to work with people like you and companies like Moderna, and this is all fueled by NDSU graduates. Dr. Barry, Barry is another conference room that we have, and Dr. Barry is an excellent virologist, and this is really cool. He was the academic advisor to myself, but also a lot of people in this room, a lot of Aldebaran graduates. Michelle Berg, who's here today. Michelle runs the largest part of Aldebaran. She has just been super dedicated to our company and our clients throughout the years, particularly rare diseases. And Tom Fody, who runs our protein division in Madison, Wisconsin. So thank you both as well for being here, and another example of that excellent NDSU philosophy. And so finally, NDSU has always been there for Aldebaran when we need to invent a new platform or create something new. Every single thing we do really started at NDSU, and it continues. So we still have a great relationship. We rely on the university to produce the graduates, and that commitment to greatness is so important, not only for NDSU and this region, but for the entire world, really. I mean, we're at a time with genetic medicine where we can do incredible things, go in and correct the DNA responsible for particular diseases, in cancer, rare diseases, diabetes, heart disease, all these things. So it's just beginning, and NDSU has such an important role to play on that. And finally, this is very much a past, present, future story, because I've always felt like we're just getting started, and I still feel that way. I think the best is yet to come. And I see that at NDSU. I love spending time. One of the things we love to do, and this is true, I love going to the NDSU dining centers to eat. And it's just so we do that to this day. I was there last week, and just to be around the students and that energy and to see that. And even today, we're talking with Wyatt earlier, a biotechnology student at NDSU, who is, the track looks so familiar. He has a biotech club. He's going to be working in the same lab that Aldebaran was started. So Wyatt, you're going to be standing up here, I'm sure, within a few years after you start companies and whatnot. So very excited and very grateful for what the university has done, for the commitment to excellence, and look forward to many more years of working with the university, its graduates and its faculty, and go Bison.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. It's an honour to be up here, just as it's been an honour to be associated with Aldeveron for over 2 decades. Mike stole a lot of my thunder there, so maybe we will talk about electron transport chains or something. But, a long time, a lot of late nights, early mornings, ramen noodles, cheap vodka. But we found out very early on when we started our company business that a company isn't just a building with a sign and CapEx and cash flow and EBITDA and all that good stuff. It's people. It always is, always will be. And it's not just the people you work with, but the people you work for. Aldeveron has had the great fortune of working with the continuum, all the way from a fledgling graduate student to an apex clinician who knows there's a better way, through to a Fortune 100 farmer. Ultimately, we're all working for the same thing, and that's for the people that need what's coming down the pike as quickly as they can, as safely as we can do it. And Mike had alluded to some of the things that are coming. We talk about preventatives, we talk about therapeutics, but now we're talking about cures. Cures for 6-letter words that strike fear into everyone and has touched everybody in this room in some way or another. Rare diseases, which are the cruelest of all diseases, and collectively, Michelle will back this up, are the biggest disease in the world. And we have the privilege, the humbling privilege of helping these things move through the valleys of death, many valleys of death that lie between something that comes from a brilliant person's mind to a concept, to a nascent proof, to a translational clinical work, to a drug, to a cure. And not many people get to do that or to see that. And as Mike had also mentioned before, because I think he must have read my imaginary notes, that some of those brilliant people are here tonight. And I'm grateful that they're here, that they've travelled to come here. It's actually travel that they've made often enough over the years that they could probably just about be considered citizens, but you don't tell the governor that, because that'll be some more state taxes he'll be after. Bloody, you got enough out of us. But and again, I'm thankful that they're here. These are the people that are going to create this enormous surf, this giant wave, series of waves that are oncoming now, that are being generated, that a lot of the central nervous system of Aldeveron is here tonight, and they're going to be the ones who have to surf it. They have to surf the possibilities, the opportunities, and obviously take on the responsibilities of what that all means. A lot of the story of Aldeveron wasn't about the CNS so much, it's been about the skeleton, the bone-by-bone assembly of that skeleton that gave us the base that we could jump off to accelerate our growth rate at least exponentially over the last few years to meet the demands. And again, as Mike said, that would have been an absolute impossibility without NDSU. So, President Rashani, I'd like to thank you for not screwing that up. That's a good job for that. But in all seriousness, again, I want to give credit where credit is due. The quality, the recruitment and retention of excellent faculty, high quality faculty across every department on Dean's watch has been superb. It's been exemplary, and it's been reflected in the people that are matriculating through the colleges, I should say, through the university. Some of those people are going to, they'll answer the siren's call and they'll go elsewhere. But some of them will stay. Hopefully some of them will move down to Aldeveron and learn to surf. But a few of them hopefully will say, you know, this kid from Carrington, Class B Carrington, the governor's there. He always likes to bring that up to rub Mike the wrong way, I think, but or to compare it to Arthur, right? Because Carrington's the big smoke compared to but they may decide, look at this kid from Carrington and some guy from Waiuku, New Zealand. It sounds like a made-up place. Like there should be orcs and goblins and whatnot running around in there. If they can do it, then why can't I? And yeah, I want them to do it so that they can learn what ramen noodles 6 days a week really taste like. And they can potentially be out making an awkward ad hoc speech at some point in their life. But I think it's still true that a plurality of Aldeveron personnel understand that the correct pronunciation of bison is bison, and have at least one green and or gold article of clothing that they wear more than on just game days. And I suspect it will stay that way when the university is producing people at the rate that they are now and of the quality that they are now. So thank you all again. Thank you, Dean, for a really great job that you've done, mate. Fantastic job over the years. Go Bison.
Congratulations again, Michael and John. Our final award tonight is the Partner in Excellence Award, which recognizes a corporation, foundation, or organization that has provided significant support as well as demonstrated inspirational philanthropy to the university. The 2022 Partner in Excellence Award goes to Scheels. When you need sporting goods, odds are your first and most likely last stop is Scheels. But it wasn't always that way. The company was founded in 1902 in Sabin, Minnesota. Frederick A. Scheel, a German immigrant, used $300 from his first potato harvest as a down payment on a hardware and general merchandise store. In time, the company expanded into housewares, sporting goods, and lawn and garden. But in 1980, a young man, Steve D. Scheel, current board chair and former CEO, believed American society was changing and made a decision that would eventually take the business to an entirely new level. He wanted to make Scheels an all sporting goods company. But his dad, Fred B. Scheel, who was CEO at the time, didn't buy into the notion and resisted selling only sporting goods. He believed sporting goods were a luxury and the first thing people could do without when times were tough. Fishing was something people did when they weren't working. But Steve sensed a cultural shift and followed his instinct. So without Dad's knowledge, Steve transitioned the Sioux Falls store into an all sporting goods store. It was wildly successful, and soon the other locations followed suit. Today, Scheels has 30 locations across 13 states. Going to Scheels today is a destination experience. Ride the Ferris wheel, browse the merchandise, eat the fudge, enjoy the aquarium, hit the bowling alley or the golf simulator, and buy a half dozen Yeti products while you're at it. Who knew? Today, the company has a strong legacy of philanthropy that's embedded into its mission statement, which is simply, we do good in our communities. Scheels gives back at least 5% of its profit to local communities every year. Scheels Corporate, along with Steve and his wife Eileen, have generously supported NDSU, including performing arts, the College of Business, and Bison Athletics. Accepting on behalf of Scheels is that young buck, Steve D. Scheel, to accept the 2022 Partner in Excellence Award.
Well, it's quite something for a lowly retail to follow Aldevron. But Mike Krueger, keep using that Scheels Visa card, and then my wife and I can eat at night. I'm actually honored to accept this award on behalf of nearly 10,000 dedicated Scheels associates in Fargo-Moorhead and across the country. This is their award. This is their award because of the hard work and dedication to high performance and excellence that allows us to give financial gifts as we have given to NDSU. And we are honored to be this year's NDSU Partner in Excellence. 4 of my partners are here this evening, and they have played a huge role in our company over the years. Jason Mack is here with his wife Kayla. He leads the Fargo store. He's on our board of directors. In his spare time, he travels and supervises a number of our stores. Michelle Cloran is our incredible CFO. I'd say how long she's been with me, but she's not that old. So just an incredible job. And her husband, Nick. Brad Durr and his wife, Carmen Brad, leads our e-commerce department, which is thriving in this day and age. And Sherry Schmidt, who was trained well at NDSU and now works for Scheels. She helps lead our marketing department along with her husband, Paul, and also my support system, my wife, Eileen, and my daughter, Suzanne. You know, a lot of businesses are hidden, but because of our physical presence and the easy access, you just have to walk into a Scheels store and ask for a donation. Every month, Scheels is asked to partner with literally hundreds of charities and organizations and institutions across the country in an effort to support their cause. And we naturally look at how they're going to spend our money if we choose to give to them. And we look at their leadership of each such group just to determine how financially involved we'll be or if we'll be involved. NDSU has strong leadership. We feel our support has helped generate rewarding results, so I guess you could say we jumped in with both feet years ago to support NDSU. Matt Larson and Jack Maughan are first-class leaders in athletics. It is enjoyable to support NDSU athletics. Scott Wheeler at the School of Business is a wonderful leader, and we see results when we support the School of Business. John Glover leads a remarkable, very, very healthy NDSU Foundation. And last but not least, President Bashani has done a masterful job putting great people in place, pulling it all together, and leading NDSU to where it is today. I want to thank you, President Bashani. NDSU and Scheels is a partnership that works well together. I just want to say thank you from 10,000 associates at Scheels. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the entire Scheels family for your partnership and support of North Dakota State University. We have now reached the end of the first quarter. I'm just kidding. But this does conclude the awards portion of the program, but we do still have a bit of work yet to do. So ladies and gentlemen, it's always an honor and privilege when North Dakota's governor And our very own Bison alumnus, Doug Burgum, joins us. Please welcome to the stage from the class of 1978, the 1987 NDSU Alumni Achievement Awardee, and 2000 NDSU Honorary Doctorate recipient, Governor Doug Burgum.
Good evening. Thank you, John. I wanted, before I get started in the remarks, I thought we'd just clear up something that's come up twice tonight, and this is about the foundation fundraising and this odd $44 that's there. But I think Jenny offered an explanation earlier. Thank you for that. But it had to do with complicated things, stock sales at the time and the transfer and all that. But I had a chance to sit with John at the table, and I know that between Mike Krueger and John, everybody thinks they've heard everything they can hear about this campaign, and nothing went wrong. It was amazing and record-setting. But there's one little known thing was that John had this idea that they should do a challenge for UND people to donate to the NDSU campaign. And the idea was that they would get really behind this, which is that if they would do kind of a pledge thing where they would pledge to give a certain amount for each of the NDSU football championships that we'd had. And there was one UND alum, and they gave $2.59 per each of the 17 championships, and that's where the $44 came from. So let's just get that cleared up right away. That first championship was in 1965, and that was before I was in school, but I think Mike was there then. He was a fraternity brother of mine, so go SAE, way to go. But we are, I want to say, we're here tonight. We've talked a lot about this incredible set of awardees tonight, and not much more to say, but I will say a few things. Clara, who's a professional singer, when she was done, I thought she must be a professional speaker. That was amazing. And then Kenton, yeah, that was amazing. Clara, way to go. And then that Kenton came up here, and he's an engineer, not a speech major like Mike, and that thing should be like a TEDx talk. We should show that to every incoming student, both on the football team and in ag. I think that was amazing. So thank you for that. That was incredible, and it does bring us back to our very roots. And then of course, Neal Fisher, who's himself an institution in the state. I actually then wore a tie that Neal gave me tonight, but then I realized I'm speaking on behalf of Governor Jack Dalrymple and myself that apparently you have to serve as governor for 8 years before Neal will take a picture with you, because Schaefer and Hovind were in the highlight reel, but Jack and I weren't. So but that's what a big deal he is. But in 2.5 years, I'll see if I can get a photo with him. And then, of course, Michael with the, aim high. His mom's here telling him to aim high. Remarkable story, yes, in Carrington, North Dakota, proud of all these Class B kids that are on stage tonight. But I think, he's up here still trying to get his transcript improved on the whole thing. This is like, let's just raise hands. How many people right now, without knowing, would trade your transcript for Michael Chambers, okay? I think that's a pretty safe bet in this crowd. But, he's still aiming high, Mom. He's still trying to get that one. And by the way, you guys know the rest of the story? It was an A-. He's trying to get moved up. And then the other thing, he's talking about was it Wyatt and the biotech club and whatever. I don't know. I had good advisors with NDSU, but nobody told me about a biotech club, That wasn't on the list, but I'm thinking now after John and Michael's success, there's going to be like a waiting list to get in the biotech club. So that's fantastic. And then of course, John, brilliant mind, incredible thing. But at this late hour, we got John here from New Zealand. Incredible, knows everything. Knows probably knows all your hometowns. Obviously, knew mine. But it's this late. The guy, if you can say the word clinical trials with a New Zealand accent, it sounds sexy, apparently. That's like, is the only guy. It wouldn't matter what he was talking about. People are like, oh, that's really cool stuff. So, but welcome to North Dakota, I guess. So, and that's. But and then with Steve and Eileen Scheels are here, and he's talking about using the credit card to have dinner. I think you guys can eat for the rest of your life after what myself and Catherine and my kids have spent at Scheels. So, and we don't just use the credit card at Scheels. We use it a lot of places. But thank you, all of the award winners tonight, and thanks Scheels. Incredible group of people here. And I want to say that I know there are a lot of award winners in this audience, past award winners. I know there are a lot of future award winners in this audience. I know that this room is filled with donors. It occurs to me that this could be the gathering of one of the largest. I mean, we do it at Bison-Bittersbowl in the fall, but this could be one of the most impactful gatherings in the history of the school since it began almost 133 years ago. And, you know, higher education institutions were created centuries ago, and they have served a great purpose in society. They've advanced knowledge, they've advanced economies, they've changed the directions of people's lives, and NDSU has done that. And since the very first graduates of all these institutions, including NDSU, the first graduates, the first six that were the first class after the school was started in 1889, 1890, the first class of 6 people, NDSU has had a reason to honor those that were here, the faculty, the staff, the administration, the students, and we heard one of those examples with the great story about Professor Bolley. But tonight is no different. I'm quite certain that we could hold this event again next month and have a similar set of capable people who've left NDSU and made a difference going forward. And I want to just say, well, it's a time to celebrate the $586 million. It's time to celebrate the accomplishments. There was something that Michael said here tonight that I know is true, and that's that this is just the beginning. The end of a campaign like this is not the finish line. It's the springboard to excellence. And North Dakota is so well positioned to make a difference in the world. We have an opportunity to feed the world. We have an opportunity to fuel the world. We have an opportunity to develop policies that are pragmatic and smart and intelligent and empower people and inspire people and lift people up. We have an opportunity to do that in a way that can really change things. And part of what we have to do to keep what's special about North Dakota, what's remarkable about groups like this, what's remarkable about institutions like NDSU, is that we have to keep alive that entrepreneurship and that risk-taking. I mean, some of the most important things we said tonight is these institutions have to break the bonds of bureaucracy. They have to get beyond the rules and the regulations that would slow you down from innovating. If we want institutions to be a place of higher learning, then they have to be the place where the people are the most curious, the most open-minded, the most receptive to new ideas, and the most willing to take risks to move forward. Because I know that many of you tonight, might be sitting here and saying, it's remarkable that John and Michael started that company in a lab at NDSU. Think of that. Somebody laid a spark, and instead of saying to them, that'll never work, we don't have enough bench space, you can't do it here, somebody encouraged them. They named some of those professors. We need to do that over and over and over again for a set of entrepreneurs and innovators that can invent the future, because we are just truly at the beginning. So in conclusion, I just want to say again my gratitude to all of you, to the leadership of NDSU, President Bashani, and all those that were mentioned here tonight, to all of you that donate and support and give your time, and to the 6,000 people that work at NDSU, and the impact that you're having both on our economy and our lives. It's one of the reasons why the state of North Dakota continues to support education at a level higher than almost any other state in the nation. Over $2 billion every biennium will go to K-12 in North Dakota. Over $700 million every 2 years goes to higher education in North Dakota. It's now exceeding one of the only states in the nation where over 50% of our general fund goes to education. We do that because we know it makes a difference. You know it makes a difference. That's why you're here tonight. Thank you. Congratulations to the award winners, but most of all, gratitude and thank you to everybody here tonight. You are what make NDSU great. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Burgum. We have a bit of an ad lib here. We have a gift to share with you, and I am going to make you open it up here on stage, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. So I'm going to hand it to you, and as you're tearing hearing.
Do I need the First Lady to help me with this?
No, I don't think so. I think bring out the childhood dog and just rip into it a little bit. So as was mentioned a couple of times tonight, we did conclude a pretty remarkable campaign, and we did a special campaign reveal event back on Valentine's Day, February 14th, and Governor Burgum joined us for the celebration. And there was a moment in the program where, again, I got to play Bob Barker and play a little guessing game with our campaign co-chairs in Bob and Sheila Challey and Steve and Marianne Swantek and Dr. Brashani and Christy Hansen, as well as Governor Burgum. I was the only one that actually knew what the number was, and they all got to guess, and none of them, of course, got it right. But there was a moment in the program where we captured what I would say was pure joy for what was a remarkable number of $586 million and $144. And here's a token of appreciation for that moment when we were guessing the number. So again, thank you for your support, your partnership, and being involved to help us with this campaign. It is now my honor to welcome a current NDSU student, Bison Ambassador, and Management Communication and Crop and Weed Sciences major, Caitlin Balstead, to the stage.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight, and congratulations to all of the award recipients. My name is Caitlin Balstead, and I am a fourth-year student here, double majoring in Management, Communication, and Crop and Weed Sciences. I also have the pleasure of serving as a Bison Ambassador. Much like 44% of our student body here at North Dakota State University, I am from Minnesota. Boston, Minnesota, to be exact. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity to travel to the land where the prairie meets the pines, Boston is located between Grand Forks, North Dakota, and Bemidji, Minnesota. Growing up, I did not want to attend NDSU. You see, my family loves the bison. I know, my family loves the bison. So naturally, I wanted to be very different. If I decided to attend NDSU, I would become the 16th member of my family to become a part of the herd. So I did what any determined teenager would do and changed my mind and came to NDSU. I'm fortunate that my older sister, Sydney, followed the Balstead legacy in pursuing education at this university. Because after visiting her during her freshman year, I saw NDSU in new ways. And this university has changed my life and my future. Sydney was a campus tour guide, and when I visited, she made sure to show me her new home and her new walking backwards skills. I saw how NDSU had changed my sister in just a few months. She'd become a more confident person, and I could see a new excitement in her for the possibilities of the future. I saw that this could be a place where I could flourish and come into my own too. And it has been just that. I can't imagine what my life would look like if I'd not followed my family's tradition of choosing NDSU. NDSU offers students unique opportunities to become involved in a variety of student organizations. These can lead to incredible experiences. As a member of student government, I've moderated a debate between the presidential candidates for the student body. I've traveled to Kansas City for an agricultural conference with ag ambassadors. Through my sorority Kappa Alpha Theta, I've taken on leadership positions that have stretched me as an individual in the best ways possible. While I was fundraising for a Blue Key Honor Society event, I had the opportunity to connect with one of the benefactors who supported a scholarship that I had received. I am also a recipient of the Wold Study Abroad Scholarship, and this summer I'll be traveling to France to learn about sustainable agriculture. I'll be studying culture, history, economics, and sustainability in Europe. Because of the support of NDSU's amazing faculty and staff, I have had the confidence to add a second major as a junior. The genuine passion NDSU faculty show for their subject matter and for their students inspires me to be my best and strive for new experiences. NDSU has made all of this possible, and scholarships have given me the gift of time to pursue these amazing opportunities. So I want to say thank you to the donors here tonight. You have empowered students through your generosity. There are so many students at NDSU, just like me, having these life-enhancing opportunities. Our futures would not be the same without you. So thank you for investing in our success.
Good evening, NDSU friends. Please direct your attention to the screens at the front of the room for the world premiere of a short film highlighting the enormous impact of North Dakota State University's 14th president, Dean L. Brashani. Through the stories of current and former student government leaders and university colleagues, we can only begin to do justice to his legacy. Enjoy. Billions of horns thrown up, hundreds of millions in private gifts, thousands and thousands of graduates sent off to improve the world, a dozen new buildings, 9 national championships in football, and one big, kind, hardworking heart pumping green and yellow.
Dean Brashani was named North Dakota State University's 14th president on a lovely afternoon in May 2010. It was a long day of interviewing and waiting for news, but eventually he was whisked back to campus to accept the job, and from then on, he has not stopped running. From day one, he's been the hardest working, tenacious, bold, kind, persistent guy around. No one ever on the planet has ever led a university without detractors from everywhere about everything, and he was no exception there. It requires a unique talent to keep all the plates spinning on the top of one stick for 12 years. This is a job best held by an enduring optimist. I saw him angry once, dispirited maybe twice, fired up all the time, equally for commencement ceremonies or one of those football games in Texas. As much for new student orientation as little international or Sunday night student government. He is just as jazzed about deferred maintenance like new water mains and that crazy traffic circle as for a beautiful new classroom building like A. Glen Hill or the Aldeveron Tower when the lights are twinkling green and yellow. His inspiration to move the homecoming parade to beautiful downtown Fargo was genius. He drove organizers crazy, taking too long to hand out candy to as many little Bison fans as he could see, or holding up the start of the parade so he could grant an interview with ESPN one of the times game day was here. We won't even go into the details of the year he put the student president and vice president on horses the first time they'd ever ridden to join him at the head of the parade. Dean Brashani definitely knows the importance of tradition and the strength of symbols. He correctly predicted how cool the Bison statue would look and how many occasions would draw people there to take pictures. Wedding parties, family holiday photos, new student orientation days. On commencement days, people stand in line for hours to get a photo wearing their commencement regalia. Some people even get their puppy to sit nicely for a portrait. And talk about tradition, he single-handedly made throwing up the horns at any and all opportunities such a thing that it's now just a reflex. And here's a symbolic moment for you. At his last official State of the University address, he invited a former student body president to do the introduction. The student concluded with these words: "As the stories of President Brashani's time here at NDSU are told, it becomes clear the type of leader he is and the person we know and admire. A president who embodies the spirit of this university and a man whose legacy will be carried on through the triumphs of the students who he serves. He is a mentor who I am proud to call a friend."
Genuine. Down to earth.
A Bison.
Genuine.
NDSU true.
Passionate.
Responsive. Approachable.
Kind.
So my favorite memory of President Brashani was before the football games, throwing up the footballs to the student section.
I get to say that I had access to in-person education for all 4 years of my college experience.
When I first came to NDSU, I got a text from President Brashani that said, "Welcome home." And at the time, that really resonated with me. And the longer I've been here, it really has become true. And I think that's the kind of environment and atmosphere he creates at NDSU when you have people coming from all over the state, all over the country. This truly is their home, and that's something that'll always be important to me, and appreciate him for that.
President Brashani is a person that's very committed to the land grant ideal for North Dakota State University. What I've always found exciting about working with him is he truly believes that we're here to serve the entire state of North Dakota.
I remember when he interviewed and he used the phrase student-focused land-grant research university, and I knew then he would be a good fit, and it's been amazing how that mantra has guided us over the years.
We came as a package deal, my wife and I, with our son PJ, and he held a kind of pre-academic year welcoming party at his house for various groups on campus. And as the Hunts normally do, we stayed a little later. He welcomed us in his home, and we got to meet Christy, and I just remember just how welcoming he was to us, but then really to our son PJ. And PJ got in on the saddle. I'm not sure that you were even supposed to touch it, but PJ got on top of it, and President Brashani embraced it, put a cowboy hat on him, and they took pictures, and it was great. It was fun.
Okay, I remember the first time that I actually met President Brashani. I was a sophomore in college, and a couple of my friends, the current student body president and vice president, had actually introduced me to him, and he remembered my name like that, and I just remember being in awe that a president of a university actually remembered my name as just a sophomore in college.
What I always remember and know about him and appreciate is his eternal optimism and energy whenever he meets or greets you for the first time, or when you pick up the phone, if you're calling him, it is just like that. My phone call to him is making his day because he's so excited.
Thank you to President Brashani for making all students here at NDSU feel welcomed and a part of this community.
Thank you, President Brashani, for everything that you have done for students. Your impact will be felt for years and years.
Dean, I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate your mentorship, your guidance during our time together, and forever grateful for what you've done for not just NDSU, but for our athletics program. And so on behalf of our student athletes, our coaches, and our staff, thank you, and we wish you the best in your retirement.
Yeah, Dr. Brashani, it has been an honor and a privilege to work alongside you these last 6 years and become a friend. And we've done a lot together. Your legacy is cemented in the history of this institution.
Thank you, President Brashani. You've led through many challenges, and you have supported this university, the staff, the faculty, and the students, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, President Brashani, for your sincere belief in the transformative power of education. Your work has changed our campus, our community, and will ripple out and change our world.
Thank you, President Brashani, for the last 12 years of work you've done for not only NDSU, but the state of North Dakota. Your continued commitment to students and improving the student experience is something that we can never thank you enough for.
President Brashani, I absolutely wish you the best. It has been incredible getting to know you over these past few years, but I know I'll see you around.
Like, I'll just go by some. Is that filming?
I just panicked in the middle of that. I was like, maybe this is way too long and Laura will be mad at you because you've talked too much.
I'll quit crying and then I'll go buy some. Yeah, it'll probably be 3 o'clock.
Can I actually check my hair first? I don't know why I didn't do that previously, but.
Go Horizon.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Matthew Friedman.
everybody. Okay, let's see. There I am. First off, thank you, Laura McDaniel, and to your team at University Relations and Justin for putting together that really wonderful video. I think we can all agree that that was a really special moment. So, as I have been introduced, my name is Matthew Friedman, and I'm here to help honor President Bershani and continue this celebration of him. I had the opportunity now about 2 years ago to serve as the student body president. And as the student body president, it provides a lot of really unique opportunities to get involved in campus. You get to meet a lot of cool people, you get to go do a lot of cool things, but one of the most coveted parts of being the student body president is that you get a seat at the big kids table. And that big kids table is President Bershani's cabinet that they meet about every 2 weeks on Mondays. I won't tell you the time, but you really get this amazing and unique opportunity, and that's something that wasn't done before he came. That's not something that the students asked him to do. That's not something that the state board required him to do. It's something that was integral to his leadership. And most of you may not know this about President Bershani, but what I really want to impart on you today about this man is that while he was also working full-time as our president, he also managed to teach a graduate course about once a year. And last spring, I was a student in his class that he taught on higher education, finance, and administration. So while the textbook was interesting enough, which I promise I read most of it, where I learned the most was actually listening to the stories that he shared about his experiences being a leader in higher education. Every Thursday, my classmates and I would gather around his conference table, and we would spend the next 3 hours discussing the intricacies of running a university. By the end of class, I had a running list actually on my phone. You probably don't know this, but it was called President B's Tips on How to Run a University. And I'm going to share with you what number 1 on the list was. So listen up. Okay, if you want to be successful, look to UND, and then do the opposite of that. Okay. All right. Well, in all seriousness, I left that class with some insight into a job that is not for the faint of heart, and also a deep-rooted hate for our friends up north. But I also left with a new value that you taught me that I now hold, that no matter how successful you may become or how busy one's life may be, we must all see ourselves as teachers. President Bershani, what you did in that classroom was not going to make headlines. It wasn't going to raise more money, and it wouldn't win us another football championship, but it changed my life and the life of my classmates. You invested in the future of this world in a meaningful and humble way through that experience. Now, I know this was shared in the video, but I want to say this again directly to you when I have the chance. What you taught me in that class will be with me for the rest of my life, and it will impact me in profoundly positive ways. And I know I won't always be around to say thank you in those moments, but today I want you to know that you've changed my life with your time, with your attention, and you will always be someone that I look up to and admire. So in the most sincerest way, thank you. Thank you. So now please join me in welcoming another slightly more former student body president, Steve Swantek.
Matthew, thank you for using the word slightly former, because then slightly former would be Governor Doug Burgum, who is also a student body president. Well, I'm honored tonight to share some comments and reflections regarding our relationship that we've had with Dean, both from a personal and professional perspective. And I was privileged to be chair of the search committee back in 2010, and I was the first one in Fargo to meet Dean Bershani at the airport. From day one, Dean impressed me with his ability to communicate and his emphasis on the student experience. The committee's support for him was unanimous, and he graciously accepted the challenge ahead. From the start, many of us offered Dean helpful information, both from a local and state perspective, that would help him accomplish his goals. And that exchange turned into sharing ideas, reviewing concerns, and discussing solutions, all while knowing that we could all develop a mutual trust, which was at the center of our dialogue. Now, I don't know if many of you know that when Dean came here, of course, he's from Texas, he was not necessarily comfortable with exchanging a hug as a greeting. When he realized that was the North Dakota form of saying hello, he knew he had to alter his thinking. No, I would say, congrats, Dean. No one would guess you had to learn to enjoy a hug. And just one other thing I want to clarify, which has been bothering me and I'm very frustrated with, and it's a false belief, but a lot of us that were on the search committee at that time for Dean are not too happy about this. A lot of people have claimed the distinction of introducing Dean and Christy to each other. Now, I want to make the case that if it weren't for the work of the search committee members, Dean would never have been here to say they could be introduced in the first place. We've been fortunate to watch you and Christy find your future together. It is such a pleasure to know that you found personal joy and professional fulfillment here with us in North Dakota. We've all witnessed your effort to create excellence in every area of the university. You text or communicate 24/7, and you ensure that no detail is neglected to build a solid foundation that supports NDSU. You always answer every student's texts, emails, or whatever, and that is truly amazing. You are a problem solver, and you put in place people who you could depend on to accomplish your goals, all so that this university could excel and could maintain the highest standards. Dean has positioned NDSU for continuing greatness. He prepared for budget shortfalls and technology challenges in the face of COVID. He placed strong people to make decisions to manage the day-to-day functions. He inspired alumni and friends of NDSU to reach a history-breaking fundraising goal to provide for students in the future. He faced all of it with a steady hand, an enthusiastic attitude, and with confidence. By example, he prepared all of us as well to recognize that change offers us opportunity and that defeat isn't in our vocabulary. Dean just didn't make decisions and left it to others to bear the consequences. He communicated and worked with all areas of university life to deal with challenges. I truly admire Dean's ability to send a strong message with a few words, always eloquent, always intuitive. He is able to incite a crowd with enthusiasm, while at the same time diffusing conflict to reach an agreement. There can be no challenge to the fact that Dean is a leader. He has strengthened this university for years to come by utilizing the talents of everyone involved. He's a humble man who is driven to promote NDSU. His gift to the university, beyond financial, is his loyalty and commitment to the mission of NDSU. He has faced battles with those who have tried to diminish the accomplishments that NDSU can claim, but he rises above pettiness to remain an influential advocate for the work being done here. It's a fact that Dean and Christy are the ultimate Bison fans. I don't think any of us could match the attendance record set by them in every sports NDSU is involved in. These student athletes truly feel incredibly supported by knowing their president has a personal interest in their life and achievements. For Dean, nothing is superficial. He is committed and engaged. His intent is clear. If you don't know the story, I want to tell you about this. There was a young woman anticipating her graduation from NDSU who faced life-threatening health issues. She could not attend commencement here and celebrate her graduation. So Dean took commencement to her, traveling to Wisconsin so she and her family could share the joy of accomplishment in the face of an unknown future. This man cares about students. Every effort, every plea for financial support is for the benefit of a student's experience. Dean and Christy, Mary Ann and I have had the pleasure of creating a strong and enduring relationship and friendship with you. We've been able to share joys and sorrows and have been privileged to trust that we are there to support each other. Our youngest grandson's middle name is Dean, not because it's anywhere in the family. I was hoping it would be that he would provide a full 4-year ride scholarship. As a grandpa who's on a fixed income, but I haven't seen that yet. But the reason that Reed and Laura named their son Prescott Dean is because they admire the strong attachment we feel for Dean and Christy. They've learned from us that true friends are cherished, a lifetime of give and take, and maintaining connections. Choosing friends who become family requires commitment, and there's no lack of that in our relationship, which Mary Ann and I are grateful for every single day. It is truly a privilege for me, Dean, to share my admiration and respect to someone who has shown the meaning of leadership, the privilege of friendship, and the humility of servant leadership. Your character is an example I focus on with the young executives I mentor at the bank, because what you've accomplished is more than just a job. It's a commitment to leadership resulting in life-altering change. A genuine belief in creating change for the good of many is basic to servant leadership. Now, when I was president of the search committee, we were tasked with connecting references for the candidates being considered. Dean previously worked with Robert Gates, who was president at Texas A&M as senior vice president of student affairs. So obviously, he was one of our contacts. But in the meantime, Robert Gates became Secretary of Defense under President Obama, and also he was previously to that Secretary of Defense under President Bush. I was responsible for contacting Secretary Gates. And even though I've interacted with a wide variety of people in my life, I have to admit this task was intimidating. Secretary Gates was cordial. I was immediately at ease. Our 60-minute conversation was a highlight for me. It was obviously he felt strongly that Dean had the ability to challenge every expectation we might have and to excel and drive the university to new heights. When Robert Gates was a candidate for the president of Texas A&M, he told the search committee, "I don't do maintenance. I would be an agent for change while preserving core values and traditions of the university." It's obvious to me that Dean embraced his mentor's philosophy. To close, to define the man that Dean is and how his leadership has altered the future of NDSU on its path to excellence, I would like to share a quote from Robert Gates' book entitled A Passion for Leadership, which he talks about defining leadership and the character it takes to stand firm in your beliefs. And Secretary Gates' comments are: devotion to duty, fairness, sincerity. These are not qualities taught in school. Formal education can make someone a good manager, but it cannot make a leader, because leadership is more about the heart than the head. How does any organization teach courage, integrity, a love of people, a sense of humor, the ability to dream a better future? Core to leadership is the ability to relate to people, to empathize, to understand, inspire, and motivate. His words clearly define the man that Dean is and the work he has committed his life to. Our Bison family is strong and loyal to this institution and all it represents. As alumni and friends, we will remain committed to the advancement of NDSU to honor the legacy of our friend and President, Dean Rashani. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce John Glover back to the stage. John?
We're almost to you, Dean. I've watched you 3 or 4 times try to jump out of your seat and get up here. We're not done yet, but almost. Steve and Matthew, thank you. And as has been mentioned, President Brashani, you are leaving a legacy of leadership at North Dakota State University. We've had quite a run these last few years, canvassing the countryside to meet alumni and friends, sharing the NDSU story, and asking for support of the Bison. We've always informed you of the great gifts that were received, and you love nothing more than penning a note or making a call to say thank you to our donors. Tonight, we're turning the tables on you. To honor you, we did a little asking of ourselves. I am pleased tonight to announce that alumni and friends have made gifts totaling more than $3 million to establish the President Dean L. Brashani Endowed Chair in Leadership at North Dakota State University. This endowment, which will rotate every 3 years, will recognize an outstanding university leader from program directors to department heads or deans, unit administrators, faculty and staff members, and coaches who strive to provide transformative leadership, scholarship, eliminate barriers, and drive growth through strategic initiatives inside the life of NDSU. President Brashani, this endowment in your name ensures your NDSU legacy continues long into the future. And distinguished guests, if you're wondering if there's still time to get involved with this fund drive, of course. Please come find me after the program. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage, for the last word, one last time, North Dakota State University's 14th president, Dr. Dean L. Brashani.
I should just say thank you and sit down. You know, like he and his staff always do, John tried to offer me some advice on what I might want to talk about when I got up here. His advice was really pretty simple. Say whatever the hell you want. It's a room full of your favorite people. And you are, so let me remind you of what's important to all of us. And in some senses, I don't really need to do this. It's a very short speech, so don't worry. I almost don't need to because I am absolutely amazed that just about everything I'm going to say here has, in some small part, already been said by the speakers and by the video you just saw. Truly, great minds think alike wasn't really what I mean, but that we share a belief and passion for NDSU just struck me as every person said something. I was like, oh, that's on page 2. Oh, that's the paragraph after that. Absolutely amazing. But I'm going to go ahead and go through this because I want to sew all those things together for you. I was first attracted to NDSU because of the opportunity I saw here. the opportunity for NDSU to excel in a way no university in North Dakota had ever even imagined excelling. Now, as a test of my premise about NDSU's potentials, let me take a quick walk through a handful of major accomplishments that we have achieved over the last 12 years. And I say we very purposefully, and I'll get back to that in just a minute. We've become the school of choice for North Dakota high school graduates going to college in the state of North Dakota to get a degree. We become the school of choice for out-of-state students coming to North Dakota to go to college and get a degree. We've become the largest enrollment, not just in NDSU, but in state history, now by over several thousand students than the next biggest. We've created the largest research productivity in NDSU and state history. We've achieved the highest National Science Foundation and Carnegie Commission on Higher Education ranking in NDSU and state history. We've achieved the highest retention and graduation rates in NDSU and state history. And as a result, we're getting more students through faster than anyone else, which means they leave with less debt. We're getting more students into the workforce than anyone else. And more than anyone else, we're keeping almost all of the North Dakota students in the state to start their careers and families. And more than anyone else, we're retaining the majority of our out-of-state students to start their careers and families in North Dakota. We've achieved the best financial status in NDSU and state higher education history. We built the most new and renovated buildings in NDSU history. And then we've done it without incurring any debt. Campus debt in higher education is generally a financial house of cards. We didn't build any houses out of cards. At the same time, we've cut deferred maintenance in half. And I'll admit that repairing sewer lines isn't what most residents look to put on their resume. But failing to address things like that can literally shut a university down. We've achieved one of the winningest overall NCAA Division I athletic programs, not just in NDSU history, not just in state history, but in the nation. And our students achieve far higher GPAs, both collectively and by each and every sport, than our students overall. And our student athletes are regularly recognized, even at the national level, for their academic performance as well as their athletic performance. At the end of the day, as proof that our friends recognize, respect, and value the achievements I've just highlighted, we've obviously pulled off the largest fundraising campaign, not just in NDSU, but in statewide history. A stunning and unfathomable number that even I doubted before we started that process. And I'm kind of kicking myself because I forgot who we were talking about. We are NDSU. And this was touched on before. The endowment, it sometimes flies under the radar screen, which peaked at $458 million. If you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you might be going. Keep in mind, $458 million. Just 2 years ago, it was $250 million. And when I got here in 2010, it was $82 million. $82 million to $458 million. That's a pretty damn good run. But let me admit something to you, and I mean this very, very sincerely. When people try to credit me in any way with being who led all that, or who created all that, or who had the vision for all that, it makes me very, very uncomfortable. A boat doesn't float if its hull isn't sound and kept in good repair by its crew. A boat doesn't move forward without a crew rowing and rowing hard, and hopefully rowing in the same direction. When those things don't happen, neither does success. So my role is simply to have a hand on the rudder and point us in the right direction. And heck, I've even had help with what direction to head in. That help has come from 14,000 students who come with 28,000 parents, roughly 100,000 alumni, over 6,000 faculty, staff, and part-time employees, 8 state board of higher education members and the chancellor, I'm just going to leave that one alone. 141 members of the legislature, 3 different governors, 8 different federal representatives in Congress, 762 residents of North Dakota, and last but not least, thousands of other people scattered around the country who, for one reason or another, pay a lot of attention to what's happening in NDSU, and because they have an internet connection, feel a responsibility to weigh in. What they don't tell you in the job description of a presidency of a major public research university is you'll have lots of people suggesting what direction to go. For NDSU, the list I just went through is roughly 905,000 people, 900,000 of which are all pointing in different directions. In other words, from what the outside looks like a really simple task, being a president of a college or university, turns out to be considerably more complicated. But some voices of advice are more important to listen to than others. And you can never forget to listen to the voice inside of yourself. For me, that voice inside of me said that NDSU would offer the opportunity of a lifetime to apply everything I had drawn from a career singularly throughout it in and about higher education, and do it at a university that had the potential to achieve far more than it had ever imagined, and had the potential to achieve far more than any university around it had ever imagined. That voice also told me that at the end of the day, I could count on and trust the voices of people like you in this room, which includes 2 of those governors and 1 of those congresspeople, who love and care about this place as much as I've come to. What we have accomplished and the success we have positioned NDSU for in the future would be a career capstone that most presidents can only dream about, but that I've had the incredible fortune to actually experience. And then to cap it all off, NDSU launched the incredible career of Christy Hansen. Because of her resulting passion for NDSU and her staying closely engaged through the foundation, I had the opportunity to meet, fall in love with, and marry the woman of my dreams. Back in 2010 when I arrived, I sure didn't see that NDSU potential on the horizon. Let me close by simply saying thank you. Thank you for allowing me to live my dreams, both professionally and personally, and for you making all of that possible. Thank you.
This concludes tonight's program. Thank you to gold sponsor SEI and presenting sponsor Gate City Bank. Thank you for attending, and congratulations to all of our honorees.